Hello and good morning, and welcome to another edition of The Legal Zone, where we tackle injustice. This show is going to be a little different than our normal shows. We tackle injustice here, right, Mr. Salatti? Yes, you're muted. I didn't do my introduction. I didn't welcome you all.
Yes, that is what we do, Mr. Phillips. That is what we do. We look at problems that anyone could run into almost anywhere, and we see where the system has gone wrong and point it out, and as we help people hopefully overcome at least that bit of injustice in their lives.
Yeah, and as you said, injustices abound everywhere. And what we do on the show is we want to highlight the injustice, tackle the injustice, and give the one who's being wronged an opportunity to speak. Isn't that right, Dr. Cheney?
That's right.
This is my welcome, by the way. So how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
And Dr. Cheney asks questions to help the audience understand more what's going on. This show, we want to update the audience on some of these cases that we've been dealing with. And this morning, we're going to have a report from Miss Vivian Thomas. I'm about to admit her into the room right now. This is live again, and it's connecting. And as she comes on, I want to just highlight her case. She's connecting. So Miss Thomas had come to us because she was being sued. Her husband had passed away. He was a contractor. He had his own business, and he had contracted with a lady. Good morning, Miss Thomas. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm just introducing, we're live already, and I'm reminding the audience of your case. And I'm letting them know that you had a situation to where your husband was a contractor with his own business, and he had contracted with a lady to finish her basement. And during that time, he passed away. And the individual with whom he had contracted to do the basement sued you for the $30,000 she had paid your husband when he was alive. And so that was the case. So with that, I would like to welcome you and give us a report of what's happened with that case now. Do you have your video on? We'd love to see your beautiful face.
I'm trying to figure out how to turn it on. Okay, I see it now.
There you are. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great. So yes, we just went over your case again. I'll let the audience, those who might have started watching the show later, they may not have saw the episode with you on it, but I was letting everyone know that it was this unfortunate situation to where your husband had contract, he passed away, and now the person was coming after you for $30,000.
$31,000.
$31,000, right? And she was adamant about that one, right?
The case was dismissed. So
yes. So it's all over now.
yes, I can breathe. I
yes.
feel like I can breathe.
Yes. And the attorney contacted me, and I guess he was more up on the filings because he emailed me and said, congratulations. And I said, for what? And he let me know that the court had dismissed it. He did say that there was a chance that she might appeal, but they never appealed. So it is officially over.
Thank you, Father, and thank you.
And thank you for trusting us to work on your case. Dr. Cheney, you have a few quick questions for her. We just wanted to let the audience know how this turned out, because you know a lot of people are watching and they're on pins and needles wanting to know, well, what happened? What happened? This is over. Dr. Cheney, I'll turn it over to you because we don't want to keep her too long.
Hello, Ms. Thomas. Good to see you.
Good morning.
I just have 3 quick questions. How did you, or rather, who did you talk to help to keep you focused on your daily activities when you were going through this crisis?
Prayer.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I have another one. It leads right into what I want to talk about. And you may know of this person. The late Reverend James Cleveland offered comfort to many through his spiritual songs. And the source that I'm using, and you can see it on YouTube, is his greatest hits 2021. Okay?
Okay.
I thought of you and two of his various songs. Peace be still, being calm. This too will pass. Trouble does not last always.
Mm.
Did you ever, Miss Thomas, say to yourself, peace be still, as this too will pass? Did you ever say those kinds of spiritual messages to yourself?
I prayed for peace, and I listened to a lot of Christian rock.
Mm-hmm.
Mercy Me helped me get through.
Mm.
If you don't do it, it's still okay. And Lauren Dangle. I listened to music that would help me focus on keeping my mind. That was
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing to me, is that I needed God to regulate my mind, because if he didn't regulate my mind, I don't know if I would have went insane. So that was my biggest prayer, is that God will regulate my mind and to meditate on his word day and night. So God helped me through it. I knew God was going to work this out for me. And I told a lot of people that. I think I won a lot of souls by telling them that God is going to work this out. I'm just waiting for the manifestation.
And on that, this is not just lip service that she's talking about, because we have a lot of clients and they all go through certain things. Miss Thomas was one of the few who would never blow up my phone with her worries. That shows me that she actually had some sort of peace, because other people would literally blow up. What's going on? What's going on? What if this happened? What if it? Calm. I never had to do that with Miss Thomas. So that lets me know she had some sort of inner peace that could only come from a true belief that this thing was going to work out okay.
Well, faith without works is dead. So I had to stand on believing that God was going to work this out, and that he did work it out. Because I didn't do what she said I did.
Right.
So I had truth and I had God on my side. So again, I went through my moments. I just didn't bother you.
Well, that's good. Just kidding. All right, one more question, Dr. Cheney.
What is the one thing you're doing to have fun now? What is the one thing you're doing?
Breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can go, I can, and it don't like a lot, but it was really, felt like I would just hold breath. So I can breathe now.
It's a new day.
Yes.
John, I'll give you the last word and we'll let Ms. Thomas go.
Well, I guess the biggest is congratulations, having worked on this and gone through the papers and made sure that they were everything they could be. It was still a real relief to see how well it turned out, how quickly it turned out. The judge's order was really right on everything, and so we appreciate your faith. We appreciate you allowing us to be a part of this journey with you, and your faith journey, and glad to do it, and glad to know that you will have a breathing easy Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And we had fun working on these briefs because the other party was so outrageous in what she was trying to do to get this money from you. So we highlighted some of the outrageousness of her behavior. So again, I'm thankful that this worked out well for you. Perfect timing before the holidays. And if ever something comes up again, you You can call on God, and then you can call on us.
Well, I thank you so much for all y'all help. I wish I would have known about y'all early on. The case probably wouldn't have lasted as long as it did, but I thank you guys. And I
Yeah.
pray for strength every day, and I pray that God regulate your mind as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All righty. Take care.
Good night. Have a good one.
All righty.
Okay.
Take care. Isn't that just great, y'all? Doesn't it just warm your soul, knowing that someone who is going through so much, $30,000 is a lot of money. And to have someone hawking you and harassing you, especially after your spouse passed away. But it's over now, and I'm happy for her and her family. Now we're going to go into the next one. I also want to just know that some of these injustices, they take a long time. All of our cases are still being litigated. We had Mr. Anthony Dennison, the one with the 5 kids in Texas. After our show, unfortunately, they arrested him based on some crazy outstanding warrant they said was out for like jaywalking or something silly. And they kept him in prison for, I think, 2 months because they said that the judge who was on his case went on vacation. So injustices continue to go on. Now he's out and they're appealing the decision. Unfortunately, things didn't go his way in court and they lost the parental rights of his children. I mean, it's just a horrible situation. But on our end from up here in the DC area, we're still trying to help the attorneys fight for his justice. But we're about to add another gentleman on for an update, and his battle is ongoing. I would remind those who saw the show and those who may not have seen the show the first time around. This young man was falsely accused of some sex act on a minor or something. John knows more about this case than I do. And he was on a sex registry for 6 years or so until they finally admitted that he should have never been on the sex registry. It's like one of those things when it happens, you can't undo it. You know, putting a drop of ink in a glass of water and then trying to remove it. It just can't be done. The damage was done already when this happened. Hello, Mr. Shabazz. Your audio hasn't connected yet. I'm just introducing your case if you could hear me while you work on that. So they put him on the sex registry for 6 years, and then they finally admitted that what they did was wrong, and they removed his name. And so he's in the process now of, okay, we can hear you. We could hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Shabazz?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm just introducing the audience to you again, and those who may not have saw the first recording, updating them on what's going on.
All right.
So he was on the sex registry for 6 years wrongfully, and obviously that impacted his life. Anyone who's on the sex registry, that's public information. Not only is it public information, people go about disseminating this type of information to let others know, hey, this person is a sexual predator. And that's what they did to Mr. Shabazz for 6 years of his life.
7 years.
7, and it's still going on now, because even though it's been removed, we all know that once when something is on the internet, it never really goes away.
Forever.
So he has a counsel now, and they're going towards the last phases of this legal battle to exact justice, because I don't think there's a person living who would say that it was not an injustice to be wrongfully placed on the sexual predator list and be registered as a sexual offender when you're not. So welcome again, Mr. Shabazz.
Thank you.
Can you give us an update as what's going on since the last time you were on the show?
Well, the update is now she filed another motion for the 4th time for summary judgment.
Okay, so who is she?
Judith Barr, the Assistant Attorney General, Satan himself, Satan in person.
Okay, so Judith Barr is representing the individuals who.
Yeah, Elizabeth Bartholomew and Carol Shelton, the director and the manager. She's
Okay, so
director.
let's get the players squared. So there were how many people who were responsible for putting you on the registry?
Well, I'm gonna say really 2 plus 3 because the Department of Corrections Sex Offense Unit hired these women, and these women were responsible to do their job.
And what are their names?
Elizabeth Bartholomew was the manager, and Carol Shelton was the director. And I think they just got a little bit cocky and arrogant, and they just decided that they could do what they want to do because they control the budget. And they don't have to let everybody know who's on the registry. And I believe that this is my belief, maybe wrong, but I believe that there was some stealing because there was a judge named Karen Smith we stood before, and she said to me that she was the director over the domestic violence unit, and the sex offense unit came under her purview. And she said that she'd never heard of me. And, during that time, I was making so much noise, everybody heard of me. And these women made it their business, white women made it their business to keep it out of her ear, or maybe told her, oh, it's not that serious, but it was serious. Well, I met a Nancy Forrester. Naturally, they did not challenge Ms. Forrester because Ms. Forrester, as we said in the first interview, argued Doe versus the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services and won. It's not an ex post facto law. You cannot retroact it. It was not a law.
And these are things that they were trying to say to justify why you were on.
Right. These were some of the things that they were trying to say. And then they didn't say that to Ms. Forrester because they knew better. They didn't even challenge Ms. Forrester. They just sent me a letter stating that Maryland cannot, and the title of it is Registration Not Required in Maryland, August of 2016. And it says, as we've read it in the past, but I would like to read it again. It says, based on your records from the Superior Court of the District of Columbia, the Maryland Sex Offense Registry, and listen to this, has determined that you do not meet all the criteria for registration in Maryland. The crime of misdemeanor sexual abuse, and then the annotated code, she said, is a registrable offense in this state. And then she says, and in your docket entry, talking about when I filed in the Superior Court to have my requirements removed, it was denied June 11, 2013. Well, DC said, we didn't make you register, so we can't take you off another jurisdiction registry, so we have to deny your motion. So she's trying to say, well, I went to court and they denied you, so we're doing you a favor. But then she says, however, Maryland cannot require registration because you didn't meet the residential requirements at the time of the offense, and accordingly, your registration has been removed from the website and all associated databases.
I think we have a copy of that letter. John, did
y'all showed it the last time, and then during discovery, she sends the same letter, signed, dated the same date, saying basically the same thing about it is a registrable offense, you don't meet the criteria, but she says what DC says, if the convicting jurisdiction does not require registration and the individual does not meet the residential requirements at the time of the offense, Maryland cannot require registration. And accordingly, your registration has been removed. And she knew, but the thing is, these demons knew this all along. These white women do this with Black people. And they were just so used to dealing with Black people who just wanted to get off the registry. But I had a lifestyle and they destroyed it, and they're going to replace it. And I'm going after them individually. The court allowed me to sue the state, and the court allowed me to sue the individuals. And then I wanted to also get to that because I heard you say in your last hearing with I think it was last Sunday, with a woman about the state has to give permission for you to sue them.
Before we get to that, let's just update the audience. So you sued these individuals for falsely placing you on.
I'm suing them.
You're suing
them. Process.
Right, you're in the process of suing them. It's not over yet. And we had you on the show a couple of months ago. And from what we understand, the attorney representing these individuals, she actually saw the show. Is that right?
Well, I don't know if she saw the show or not, but someone told her about it. This is what I have a counsel. He just entered his appearance to help me argue my case in court. Now, he's a friend, but we have an agreement. I'm still running my show. He's to deal with the court issues. This is our agreement. He's retained, he's getting paid to do a job, but I'm going to go on the airwaves to put my story out there. I'm not going to violate no laws. I know what to say. I'm just going to tell the truth. So she called him and told him that I referred to her as a devil. And I said, I did, because she is a devil. It is a devil that knows that when you put somebody on the registry that their conviction didn't rise to that level, and you do it anyway, and then you try to justify it under 3-308, a child sex offense, and we get the history on that, and that's all. She's going to take something out of that legislation and place it on an adult.
So she contacted your president attorney, and what was she was telling you?
Well, he didn't really go into detail with me. In other words, she just trying to fill him out, being the bitch that she is. That's all. She just be trying to think that she can fill him out, but she don't realize she's up against something. He just as crafty as her ass is. So
did he advise you not to come on?
No, if he tell me not to come on a show that I feel that I should come on, I'm going on the show. I'm 60 years old. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And if he don't want to represent me, then we have to talk about that.
So we'll just go on air saying, hey, if the attorney wants to come on, the attorney representing the individuals who did this to you, we welcome them. Come on, we're not gonna exclude you. You can come on and you could say your side of the story.
She's gonna, it's all contrived. And she offered me $10,000 for every year that I was dealing with this. Judith Barr can take that $10,000 and stick it up the crack of her ass, and those other two white bitches' asses too. So she don't know I'm not taking no $10,000. When I get through Elizabeth Bartholomew, I want her to know I got her social security number, her birth date. I know where she lives. I know everything that she did not give me during discovery. Carol Shelton, the same thing with her. I got her social security number, her birth date. I know she owned property. I know she had liens against her. I know she filed bankruptcy twice. This is public information. This is public record. And she owned other property. That's going to be mine one day. So, bitch, you can go ahead and fake like your ass ain't done nothing. But when this shit is all over with, you going to be paying this nigga. You treated me like a nigga. It's not okay for you to call me a nigga, but it's okay for you to try to treat me like one. But you guess what? I'm not going to be, I don't want to be too foul, but I just want to let you know, Solon, they fucking with the right nigga. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't gonna lose my house. I ain't gonna lose nothing. They're gonna lose it all, because the world needs to know that these women cannot go around in power, putting men on the registry and fucking their lives up. I went to the chief prosecutor for the state of Maryland, Mr. Howard's office, and they called me back and told me that they did not want to get involved. I said, isn't that your job to deal with corrupt politicians and government officials? They tell me, well, you already got a lawsuit out there. I said, but you know what? This won't be the last time you hear from me. I sent to the senators who's over the Department of Correction, every last one of them, detailed information. No one got back with me until the media gets involved and put the pressure on them like they need to put the pressure on them, because having a sex being falsely, then I am for the sex offense registry.
John, I want you to jump in real quick because you're more involved in this. What have you seen change from the last time we were on?
Oh, well, I think Mr. Shabazz has laid it out. I mean, since then, I've seen, there have been motions filed. They filed a motion for summary judgment. Mr. Shabazz has opposed that. There's a motion, he submitted experts, expert witness listings to them. They are now
And the experts are going to testify to what?
his damages and then psychological states of mind and those kinds of things. But how do you, the difficulty in his case on some level is how do you calculate damages? Part of it is economic losses and then trying to assign values to the other harms he's suffered. Well, most
and
of
continue
us,
to suffer.
even as lawyers, that's not something most of us can do. You need somebody, this is what they do. This is their background to understand how do you calculate and come up with a figure based on his age, what he's gone through, what he's lost, what's happened, to try to create a number. So he has his witnesses, expert witnesses, and they're opposing them, saying that, well, the scheduling order, the original scheduling order from 2019 asked for that information by October of 2019, which was only within 3 months of when the case was filed. And Mr. Shabazz filed that list sometime, I guess, was September. So, and now he's filed a motion or an opposition to their motion saying, well, no, he should be able to file his expert witnesses and laying out the legal reasons why that is so. So that's out there. There's the motion to compel because they've never really fully responded to his discovery requests. And all of that is on the calendar for about 2 weeks or less than,
December the 21st at 10 o'clock. But she wants to strike my expert witnesses. And here is a lawyer who has not followed none of the court rules. I had to always go filing something to remind the court that she didn't do this, she didn't do that, she didn't do, but I miss a day because she went into default purposely. Now, and I was told by Judge Cho, whenever there's a pending motion, everything ceases. That's what I was understood by Judge Cho in the first hearing of this motion. She said, that is the next controlling thing. Everything is on hold until these motions are dealt with. So therefore, me filing my expert witnesses. Now in 2019, I didn't know what expert witnesses I would need. I knew that I was seeing a therapist. I knew this was devastating to my partner at the time. He's deceased, is almost 2 years. Life has gone on. I'm getting stronger and much better. But my thing is, she has given 2 judges her ass to kiss. They gave her specific orders and she takes her time and she has a nerve to try to have my witnesses struck because I didn't file my shit on time and she files nothing on time. She thinks her white privilege and her title is going to get her, and this is what's been getting her through the whole time. But I'm not going to ever let this, if I have to fight this till I'm 100 years old, I am not going to see innocent men being falsely placed on a sex offense registry that if their conviction did not rise to that occasion, then she goes back in a hearing and says that every person that is transferred to Maryland has to register, whether it's misdemeanor or a felony. Then she says that in writing. Well, I found out that there are some men who were transferred to Maryland who not on the sex offense registry. Okay, I found that out in my own research, since she never gave me none of the names that I asked for. She never gave me nothing in discovery. And when she gave it to me, she gave it to me.
For those who are listening, discovery is a portion of litigation where each side is allowed to get information from the other side to help prove or disprove a case. So it's a portion where you get to ask questions, you could ask for documents, and the other side by law has to answer unless it's privileged. There's a few exceptions where they don't have to answer. But I want to get Dr. Cheney in right now. Dr. Cheney, what questions are circling through your head? Because this is a serious case. Just imagine you wake up one day, Mr. Anybody listening out there, and also take the time to subscribe to the red button. Just click the red button, hit the bell, and you'll be alerted to when we have shows.
And Dr. Cheney, I want to apologize for my I don't see all four of you, but I do apologize for my using profanity in front of you because I have a lot of respect for you, ma'am. So I'm just being real today, okay? Because this is just,
and this is a hurtful situation for you. This is your life. This is what you're going through.
Yeah.
And to be labeled something that no one likes to be falsely accused of anything. Let's just make that.
But a sex offense is just like life in prison. It's like a death sentence.
So if you're falsely approved for a sexual crime on a minor, man, Dr. Cheney.
Hello, Mr.
But it wasn't
Shabazz.
a minor, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing, ma'am?
Hanging in there.
That's
Would
good.
you finish your comment? This isn't really my question, but what happens if the opposition does not provide the discovery information you need?
But I think, according to what I'm understanding, that she could lose the case. We could ask the judge. We have asked the court to strike her presenting her case. And he did say that if I had an attorney at that time, that he would have granted sanctions. And I'm like, well, I need the money myself. But he said that that judges, lawyers are supposed to be fair, honest, and just and whatnot. Well, I told him prior to him leaving that she's not going to be. We tried to request him back. They denied him coming back. They given me another judge on the 21st. This is how the game is played. They don't even give a damn. But you know what? Miss Bartholomew, Elizabeth Bartholomew gave me permission to sue her ass in 2 letters. One letter I got during discovery that she said that she sent to an attorney named Mark Hessel, who she did not send this letter to. And I just want to read this because I want you to listen to the PS part. This is what she said to him on February the 14th. This is after Doe, that she know that that law applied to me.
Doe is the case that they tried to use to justify doing it. So people who know what Doe is a case that he's referring to.
And this is in 2014, a year after Doe. She said, "Dear Mr. Hessel, the Sex Offense Registry Unit for the state of Maryland has made its decision with regard to the registration of Mr. Shabazz. That decision was communicated to Mr. Shabazz in a letter dated March 15, 2012. The state has not changed its position in relation to Mr. Shabazz's registration requirements, and he should continue to register as a tier 1 sex offense." Then the bitch takes the steps to say, "P.S. please consider, and if deemed appropriate, pursue the civil legal remedy that are available to your client." So she's telling you, go ahead and sue me, bitch. You can't sue me because we immune. And then she says in this other letter to my probation agent about a sex advisory board meeting, I'd rather be sued by him than to go to this meeting. He can't sue us because we are exempt from
that's sovereign immunity. That's sovereign immunity again.
Yeah, that's sovereign immunity thing. Then she says, well, he's is to continue the registry because he groped a woman's genital. Now I'm gonna be a little vulgar now. From a titty bite to grabbing a bitch pussy and then touching her ass, she posted that I was convicted of 2 counts of sex abuse here. She said, this is what she has posted. She said, this 2 counts of misdemeanor sexual abuse, touching the butt and the breast and buttocks. 2 misdemeanor assault touching the breast and buttocks. Then she says, the person was under the care, the authority, and supervision. If the person worked for me, or if this person was a child, she did not care. This is harm. This is knowing that this was a grown woman who I was convicted of, And this woman and I had no type of relationship. And she's putting this out there to the public, my address, my tag number to my car registration, all of my business is out there. But when I ask for their information, because they're being sued individually, the asshole lawyer that they have, Judith Barr, she goes and try to dodge the bullet and it's overburdensome, this, that, and the other. Well, bitch, I found out what that damn information is. And when this hits it, I'm gonna put their shit out there just like they put mine out there once I file it.
Go ahead, Dr. Cheney.
Well, I don't know. I think it's a little early for my questions. He's still telling his story.
Well, what other questions do you have?
Well, he probably think I'm crazy when I'll ask them.
No, I don't.
Okay. John talked about a lot of changes, legal changes that have occurred since you were last on the show. How these changes place you in a better position? Can you see what I'm talking about?
Well, the only position that it's changed for the better is that I have an attorney who's willing to fight it, because he's a member of the bar and she's a member of the bar. And she really thinks, calling him, and he's polite to her and whatnot, she thinks that he is probably some weak ass black man, but she don't know she's in a rule for awakening. He getting ready to resurrect her ass. Whatever demons is in her, he get ready to cast that shit out of her ass. She don't know. You better settle this case. You have no case. And that $10,000 that she was trying to be facetious a few months ago at the settlement conference hearing, give him $10,000 and ask for $15 million. And then the thing that really gets me is that the mediator, who was a retired judge, had a nerve to tell me you're not going to get 70 something. That's not even your fucking place to even say shit like that to me. I mean, they feel they can say whatever they want to say to us.
Now, John, I want to ask John a question, because John knows about this. There's no question or denying that what was done is wrong, right? That's not even the issue.
I don't know if they would frame it that way, but as I've read all the documents, it's not a question of we didn't know, we never put him on the registry. No, they admit to putting him on the registry. The question now essentially comes down to liability. So they admit they put him on the registry. They say they will then in their documentation try to justify why that was the correct thing at the time in 2010.
Right. So they're not denying that they put him on the registry, but they're in the process of trying to say, well, we had a right to based on the law at the time.
Well, let me say this before John gets started. Let me say when she was in front of Judge Cho at that motion to dismiss on immunity and limitation, Judge Cho pressed her out. Though that's the time that she should have brought her defense in about this. You don't wait till I get past all of this shit, and then you're gonna try to bring some child sex shit to say, well, it was substantially similar. You tell that shit to children, bitch, okay? Because you know damn well you had a judge to press you. She said you have an immunity claim, and this is very serious. And then she could not answer the question. Judge, she was not expecting to be questioned. Maybe if she had a white judge, they would have gave her lenient and she probably would have won, because there's always the wink, wink, wink with a lot of them. And with some black lawyers. But we had a Korean judge who was by the book, very fair, very honest, and she, denied 5 and dismissed 2. So all of that shit she's talking now, it ain't nothing but a bunch of bullshit and stalling. That's all it is. She gonna give me my money.
So John, so they're not saying that he was never on the list, because that's there, but they're trying to use the law as a scapegoat to say, well, the only reason why we put him on.
Well, let me get into that nuance. The Maryland legislature passed a law that went into effect in October of 2010. Okay, Mr. Shabazz's offense occurred in the District of Columbia in May of 2010. But the law was saying, well, we're going to say anybody who's been convicted in the last, 15 years, you have to be on the registry. Or if your offense was in the last 15 years, you have to be on the registry. And so they're saying, well, that gave us the leeway to do this. Then there's the Doe case is where another man on the registry said, wait a minute, you can't put me on the registry based on that. That's an ex post facto law. That's saying you did something then and we're going to make that a criminal offense now, even though that happened in the past. And finally, the Maryland Court of Appeals said, yeah, you're right. The legislature under Maryland's Constitution cannot say you did something back then and now we're going to make you pay for that.
Right.
And
So
that was
the ex post facto says that you cannot be convicted of a crime of an act that wasn't legally a crime when you committed it.
Or be punished for something.
Right.
Because in a sense they were saying this man who the Doe, he had been convicted of a sex offense and he had served his time, done whatever. But now years later, the legislature passes this law and puts this new punishment. And so they came back to him and said, oh, wow, now we have to put you on the registry. Even though, so not only is you can't be convicted, you can't be punished now for something you did then, and there wasn't a punishment for that then. And so there's Doe. And so they're trying to claim, well, there's Doe, but we didn't know and we didn't understand Doe.
But they understood it. They understood it.
And the state went back to the court several times to get clarifications. Well, what does this mean and how do we do this? And this is their argument is basically we have these series of excuses as to why we kept him on the registry as long as we did. But as he points out, the only thing they ever told him in real time was he didn't meet the residency requirements at the time of the offense. They never made these other arguments that they're now making in court saying, well, there was this case and we didn't know this and we had to do that.
When you say now, how much time had passed from the time that they could have made the argument to the time when they actually did make the argument?
6 years.
No. They gave him the letter in 2016 saying he didn't meet the residency requirements. That's what they told him.
And then he said I didn't meet all the criteria for registration in Maryland. I apologize.
And then it's not until he sues them, and he's in the midst of this in 2020, 4 years later, that they're now making arguments, all these legal arguments that they never made in 2016. They're simply saying, oh, well, here's why we were justified, because what you did in the District of Columbia was the equivalent of this Maryland statute, which, as Mr. Shabazz has pointed out, mainly talks or almost exclusively talks about children. And so that's why we put you on.
That gets to the point where we say so often, the excuse of the fault makes the fault all the worse. It would have been so much easier if they had said, look, what we did was wrong.
That's too much like right.
Right. And we talk about the South Carolina case that we had when this thing is brought to justice. It's wrong. What are you going to do about it now? But instead of saying that, they're trying to justify, well, we had a right to do this. We could have. So when is the hearing coming up, Mr. Shabazz? When's
it's
that?
The 21st of December at 10 o'clock.
And what hearing is that for? That's not the final hearing.
It's for all the motions. It's for the motion for summary judgment. It's for the motion to compel. It's for all the motion to strike. She wants to strike things. We want to strike her and whatnot. And we're just going to see where the chips fall. I'm saying, she's a big ass liar. She makes up shit as she goes. She's not that bright. You know, I told her she was much smarter than me, but it's clear that if I'm still in the case, it's that ought to tell you something right there. And I'm not afraid of her. I'm not afraid of the system. I'm afraid. I want justice.
Now, you had made mention to me offline about somebody taking pictures of your house.
Oh yeah, you know, she said. I mean, I'm assuming. I'm just assuming because you know I live in a very secluded neighborhood. There's only 3 houses back here, and the back of my house faces a 500-acre botanical garden. We don't have just walk-ups and drive-by. You just can't drive up the street and know exactly where I live at. It's designed that way. You have to know where you're going. And so I'm looking at these funny looking people coming up and pulling in front of my door. And I open the door because I want you to know you're gonna be eating something. You come up, you on private property because number one, we don't get city services back here. We get no snow removal. We don't get none of mail delivered back here. We don't get, the only thing we get back here is trash pickup. And that was agreed to when we moved here 24 years ago. But any other thing, we have the right, the right of way is an easement for you to walk to somebody else's house if you're going to see them or to go to, or your family. And only people that come to my house basically are my family and close friends. And they all have to call before they come. And
so you saw people driving them to your house?
All the time. And I open my door. And this is, and it would be something, but this would be like at nighttime, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I mean, I'm like, what you doing back up in here? You know, because see, that street in me, I ain't afraid of nobody. That street in me comes out. Then it's Gary dead now. I don't have to worry about his protection no more. I don't have to worry about nobody harming him. It's me and you. Okay, I want you to know whoever you are, whatever the fuck is going down, it's gonna be me and you. Trust me, you dealing with a real nigga here.
So may I finish the couple questions that I have?
Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am.
Mr. Shabazz, I am very interested in discovery, as you've noticed that I mentioned that. And I'm also interested in your comment that you made about the mediator, because I was involved in a case. We wanted discovery. We never had it. I lost the case. And the other thing is mediation. It was a financial matter. I wanted $100,000. The mediator told me that was too much. So I can relate to you. This is DC Superior Court. So hopefully you do have a good judge. So hang in there. The other couple questions I have.
I'm gonna hang in there.
I see you are. Trust. What are your thoughts about trust and how to handle trust in general?
Well, I'm a person who have a strong faith in God. I trust in him and the holy angels. I don't put my trust in the system let me say something. I know that I'm dealing with real powerful thugs, real kidnappers. These motherfuckers kidnapped us as a people. So I know these are thugs. They raped us. They got us in 2021 still wearing their damn names like we're their goddamn property. Not me, but a lot of us. When some of us get around them, a lot of us change our character, the way we act around them. Not me. What you see, how I'm talking, this is who I am. I don't care about you liking me. I don't like you either. Just respect me. If you respect me, I will respect you. So I have a trust. I trust certain people, but I trust God, Master Farad Muhammad, my Lord and Savior. I trust him. He came to bring justice to us. And so whatever take place, if it's his will that I lose, which I know it's not, he didn't bring me this far to lead me. But trust me, he has sent people in my life to give me information on these demons that I needed, that they don't know that I got on them, that can be very, very, very detrimental to them.
Okay, I have one more. And what you just said leads me into the other one, the one that I'm gonna share with you now. I don't know if you're familiar with this person, a spiritual person. He used to sing a lot, many songs. His greatest hits 2021 kind of connects us together. One of the late Reverend James Cleveland's songs
Mhm.
on his greatest hits 2021 connects me with you. It is "You Are the Best Thing That Ever Happened," a spinoff of Gladys Knight's song under
Of
the
course.
same title. You know that.
Yeah.
My version of one of the lyrics, if someone, this is pretty much my question, if someone wrote your life story, how would your journey to justice be described?
Well, one day my life story will be written. I have several people, psychiatrists and my legal friends wants to write my story. Is a very interesting story, from rags to riches, you know, a person who I know I'm naturally smart. You know, I've always known that all my life. I've always been a very spiritually tapped in person, very respectful when you know me. You have people formulate their opinion about you, but that don't mean shit to me until you cross me. When you cross me, then you'll know what you're dealing with. I'm gonna respect you until you cross me, but I don't like to be talked at. Yeah, I'm an adult. I don't talk at you, don't talk at me. But one of James Cleveland that you brought up, who I love and admired very much as a youngster, him and Albertina Walker, is one of my favorites was "Savior, lead me lest I stray," and I won't stray. And then Albertina Walker, "Lord, keep me day by day," and he's keeping me, and I'm standing on the promises. He promised us that he would not leave us nor forsake us. He told us to stand flat foot before this enemy when we're right. I know she's representing her clients and she has to do the best way she can, but all of it is nothing but a bunch of lies. And when you're dealing with the devil and you know she's a devil and you know you're dealing with the devil, they're liars by nature. They make wrong right, right wrong. I've dealt with them for many years, even Black people. You know, they so caught up in being an American. Like I had an investigator recently tell me that he come 3 generations with the military and he's so fucking watered down. It sort of pissed me off, but I just told him, man, just go the fuck on. You just as worse than this white woman. You know what I mean? Just go on about your business. I mean, I don't want to waste your time. Don't waste my time. I talk to other white investigators. They give me information. They say, look, you can have it for free. If this is what they did to you, this is their shit. But the Black man wants to be all so legal. See, this is where they get us tricked at. They don't even follow their own laws. You see how Donald Trump gave the whole world his ass to kiss and everybody around him is falling except for him. He gonna get it in the end. But see, he showed the world that it ain't nothing but a damn game. I do what the hell I want to do. I say what the hell I want to say. The richer you are, he even said on national television, you can grope a woman on her pussy and can't nothing be done about it. He's right. And women dress out there provocative. You tell them don't go in the woods running and they still go out there, then they get raped. Do you want to be raped? Do you know we live in this sick world? It's almost like you're playing dangling with death. And that's something that I don't do. And I don't want that around
When was
me.
that hearing again? December the 21st?
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
So can we have you back on after that so we can talk more about the progress of your case?
Sure.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Mr. Shabazz.
I appreciate you for having me, and thank you for letting me vent this time because I really needed to vent because when I got the phone call from my attorney saying that this chick talking about that, I referred to her as a devil bitch. What are you?
And we invite her on.
Well, you can, well, it's your show. You do what you please. I appreciate it. It is raw. It is uncensored. That's what I love about it.
Thank you.
And hopefully Roland Martin will have me on his show soon. And, you know, that will be much more notoriety and political and all that kind of shit, because you can't go around here putting people on the registry. You can't give me a letter saying that registration not required in Maryland. You don't meet all the criteria, but what you was convicted of is a registrable offense in the state. But however, we can't require you to register because the other jurisdiction didn't. And then you're going to tell me, oh, but this is the reason why. Well, you should have told that to Nancy Forrester when she first tried to get me off. So telling me that, that's just nothing but another way of diverting things. But I don't pay her ass no mind. So I hope whoever scanning the emails and an iPod for, give her this one.
Thank you so much for being on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Here.
Bye-bye.
Wow. So, thoughts?
Well, he talked about, or the question, I guess, Dr. Cheney's question about trust. Yeah, he doesn't trust the system, and one can understand why. He's clearly battled the system in various ways over now. I mean, this month it'll be 11 years on this issue. I mean, it was, he was required to register at the end of December 2010. So it's December of 2021 now. It's 11 years. So yeah, there's a loss of trust. And as we talk about many times on the show, you know, you can step back and look at the framework of what I'm calling the system, and it seems like it all should work. And yet here comes this gentleman, and it doesn't. You know, and it's much more intense in his case than, let's say, Ms. Thomas. Ms. Thomas had an injustice that just involved another person, right? Another individual decided, I didn't like the way this played out. I'm going to try and get something from her. Okay. She finally found us, and you worked the magic, and she's now breathing again. But in Mr. Shabazz's case, he really is engaging the system. You know, yeah, he did something that he had this conviction in 2010 that all of a sudden just blew up way out of hand, because even though, again, the framework, as one would step back and see, it seems like this should be all okay. Nope, the individuals running the system.
And that goes back to, again, the South Carolina situation and the sovereign immunity. When you have these people who are responsible for running the system, and then you set it up to where they can't be touched, the king can do no wrong, then you open the door for corrupt people to wreak havoc in the lives of whoever they want. And then when you try to fight them, you have this huge battle. If what was done to Mr. Shabazz was done by another citizen, this would have been over a long time ago.
Right.
But because he's dealing with people who are protected by this sovereign immunity, he has to go through so much. And these sovereign immune people, they will never come out and say, we're wrong. They will try to use the law to justify, right? I imagine if we were to get that certain congresswoman, she would say, well, the system says I can do it, and try to deflect, where the truth of the matter is you could just back out. In this particular situation, the women who put Mr. Shabazz on the sex registry, if they were honest, respectable, moral people, they would say we were wrong. You don't have to sue us. What can we give you? Let the state put money together to give you for the wrong that we've committed. Wouldn't that be cool? All right.
Well, I mean, I agree, and that's where he stands. That it all comes down to liability, and their whole argument They never say it. I've never seen the word liable in their writings, reading the documents that he has. But again, you read between the lines, it's all a justification for why, in the end, yeah, we were wrong, sort of, maybe, kind of, but we're not liable. It
Right.
doesn't rise to the level, even though, yes, he got past sovereign immunity, a difficult and rare thing. But he got past that. He talked about with Judge Cho and that hearing. And he got past sovereign immunity. And yet, Ms. Barr brings that issue up and the statute of limitations issue every time she has an opportunity. And this motion for summary judgment that she has, so she's had 2 motions to dismiss, 2 motions for summary judgment, and she keeps raising the same arguments, even though she lost both motions for motions to dismiss and the first motion for summary
So
judgment.
she's just recycling the same argument, even though it's been addressed already.
Yeah, she's still hoping that, well, and this is the Maryland thing about I've mentioned this in the past, he will be before his like 7th different judge on this case on December 21st. So I don't know, it's like hoping that this time the Linguini is going to stick to the wall, even though your colleagues and generally know they're not going to overturn an argument that has been denied by a previous colleague. You're still hoping, and she's still throwing it out there to see if it'll stick.
Dr. Cheney, you witnessed the raw emotion from Mr. Shabazz. The things that he was saying does not represent any member of the show, but this is him we give him an avenue to express his emotions. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, some of it I could relate to, as I shared with him and shared with the show. And it's just so unfortunate. And I'm glad that he's getting assistance legally from somebody who is able to move forward with it.
Yeah. Wow.
That will be very interesting, that he will have, for the first time when he goes to court in December, an attorney in the room with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not simply relying on the papers that he's filed, but now he will have somebody who knows how to navigate that very tricky and particular process in front of a judge to deal with the motion to compel on the discovery issues, to deal with the motion to strike. Like, he has a motion to strike changes that they made in their original answers, which then led to their motion to summary judgment. So there were these various things. It's going to be a tricky situation, that having an attorney in the room to keep the judge kind of, on the straight and narrow, shall we say, of that, will hopefully make a big difference for him. And then the case will go on and discovery will be reopened, and on he will go to the next phase of this.
I think it's also good, John and Solon, that he has somebody that he said, quote unquote, is a friend. And when you're emotional like that, there are times that you can irritate non-friends. So hopefully that that relationship thing will stay intact along with his journey.
Yep. All right, you all. Thank you so much for being on. Don't forget the red button, subscribe. We'll continue to have updates, and we have some amazing shows coming in the future. Dr. Cheney, John Salatti, thank you again.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Solon. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our video. For experienced legal services in Washington, D.C., Alabama, and Washington State, visit our website at remuslaw.com or call us at 1-833-329-1799.
When someone goes through a divorce, they lose their best friend. They lose their house. They lose their children. Any time away from your child is a loss. Let's face it, divorce kills. The average cost in the United States for a divorce is $13,000. It's not uncommon for divorce to cost well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. At Remus, we take into consideration you, the divorcing spouse, your property, your money, and your children. We assist clients in directing them to therapy, mentorship programs, savings. We mitigate the cost of divorce to keep your expenses down. We look out for the client holistically.
I came to Remus Law seeking a divorce. Solon listened to me. I told him my story. When he emailed me a copy of the complaint, which summarized my story, he was able to say exactly what I had been feeling for so many years. When my husband was served with the complaint, he came to me with tears in his eyes. He said he didn't know this is how I was really feeling. He asked if we could try again.
At Remus, we do all that we can for our clients.
Wait a little bit longer, wait a little, we'll be coming around again, 'cause you know we're stronger than we were when you and I began. I don't know what's harder, holding on or letting go. I don't know if we oughta, know if we oughta, know I know. I don't know where we're going, but I know it's gonna be good. I don't know where we're going, but I know it's gonna be good.
The lessons taught in the adventures of Uncle Billy and Ross are lessons that adults learn late in life. Some never learn it. I will recommend every parent, every young person, every adult read this book. But more importantly, apply the lessons.